Do you think that
Um,
part of that has to? I know we talked about this last episode. We talked about the U.S. politics being broken. Do you think that has something to do with the atrocity that has been our handling of the situation?
um, I mean, look, I'm not the biggest fan of the president, and I mean, this is like an incredible, like this is like a once in a century type of crisis, and to fall on his administration's shoulders, I think it hasn't been great, uh, and I think it's all, a lot of people are starting to lash out at each other, which is unfortunate. So I think to a certain extent, yeah, the divide that we already had is being deepened by the virus. But I still am a bit hopeful. I think people are overall recognizing, the importance and the bravery of our medical professionals, and a lot of people do have this idea, this belief, and follow the idea that as long as we all stay in and kind of sacrifice our usual livelihood for the good of the nation, we might all get through this. But even people like to talk about how it's like in the Midwest and in the South where people aren't taking this seriously. I was in New York last week, and like a third of the people walking around didn't have masks, weren't like trying to social distance or anything. No, it's there are a good number of people who are treating this well, but not as many as we need.
I think a problem with a situation like this in a country like ours is that what you mentioned, finger pointing. People are pointing the finger at each other when realistically nobody expected this to blow up the way it did. So one thing that we mentioned last episode was framing, framing the situation to make your side look like it's the honest and moral side, and the other side is a monster. I think you're right when you say that uh, you can't place all of the blame on the president. I think I don't want to blame anybody because this is a global catastrophe that was it's inevitable, but it's also very rare that something like this happens.
Yeah,
And I think the issue in our politics now is that no side wants to assert any blame on themselves.
yeah,
Nobody wants to admit wrongdoing or just the fact that they were wrong and they dropped the ball on it. Nobody wants to be authentic about it.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, and especially considering that neither side acts close to perfectly. Put aside ideological differences, but just in terms of like morals and ethics, there's an incredible number of wrong things that happen on a day to day basis. Uh, But I think just putting blame on people and parties and administrations right now, it's like what's it gonna do? Why don't we wait till after this is all over, and then we can put blame on people, because then I'm not gonna care who really gets blamed as long as we get out of it. Uh, and I mean, this is a time much like almost like a world war where we need to unite ourselves against a common enemy. That enemy, of course, not being a person or a country, but rather being coronavirus. Um, and something that the U.S. did very well in World War II, seen it quite as well, which is unfortunate, and it shows that we're not as united or as understanding of each other as we once were.